Şimdi
Well, adolescent brain, is it ready for pregnancy? Well, I think that it is best to ask whether the adolescent brain is ready for adolescency. Well, it was 10-15 years ago actually. I had a friend working in the maternity department, and all the data that we receive in adolescency come from abroad. So we wanted to find out what our adolescent maternity patients would look like, and anxiety and depression scales I give to him, and so that she implemented. But we couldn't complete that study. But what she said that we give them for no reason, because they're very happy actually. Because they are happier and they get more pleasure, so they said. And maybe Ayşegül is going to summarize the studies in Turkey, but actually the foreign studies are different from the outcomes of the Turkish studies. So this is an area that we have to focus on for cross-cultural studies. I think that it is a real area, the adolescent, the early gestation. So in a gestation, for instance, what's the situation like a person is more introverted and more peaceful and evaluates herself, and also all the attention, all the care is given to the developing baby actually. This is a mental situation as such when we talk about gestation. However, when we talk about adolescence, it's a different situation, because nowadays this is something as such. I mean, all the attention, all the is toward to peers, and also they are in competition with their peers, and they also learn cooperation. And so for this reason, on one hand, who would go under depression? Well, actually, they've got a higher probability to go under depression because they are more frustrated, they more struggle with life, they more, and just like Freud mentioned, these neuroses as this illness of civilization actually. So the more we get civilized, actually, the more we have depressions and anxiety disorders. Probably. So the adolescent brain development, in adolescence, brain development is really important, and recently many studies have taken place, and the ones who have carried out those studies say that, for instance, Homo sapiens is an for Homo sapiens, adolescence is really important. Neanderthals disappeared because they didn't have adolescence. That's why they perished. Because in adolescence, the brain is really flexible, it is really plastic, and at that time, the tasks fulfilled are really different, and they adopt different strategies in order to fulfill their tasks. And in this respect, Homo sapiens are advantages in terms of adolescence. So puberty or as adolescence, we have to differentiate between the two, because post-pubertal brain is ready for gestation. However, when we say post-pubertal brain, the changes in the puberty period are really different, and in adolescence the changes are really different. Post-puberty, mostly hormonal effects actually shape the brain, and if we were not as Homo sapiens creating the civilization, the post-puberty would be a breed that actually gestates. If we hadn't had the matter of developing a civilization. After puberty, actually, the brain development like blending, thinking logically, behavioral control, problem solving, understanding outcomes of the behaviors, emotion regulations, monitoring, abstract thinking. All these capabilities actually do develop with age and experience. So for this reason, after puberty, the human brain needs time so that they interact with people around them and so that they develop themselves based on the environmental conditions at the time. And this development actually continues until the age 20-25. This is the brain screening. So this is the brain shaping. It is up to the age 25 according to this screening. And during this reshaping, there is continuous increase in the white cells. But first of all, in the frontal brain, there is a development increase, volume increase, and then it starts retarding. And the one that maturates the last is prefrontal and temporal regions of the brain. So, during adolescence, there are three main processes. First of all, the maturation of the brain, and then the gray matter, there is freedom, specification of the gray matter, and prefrontal limbic changes, and its control, dominance increasing. These three functions actually are important, and in a environment actually they shape, and also the social group and the number of people in the social group increases the volume of neocortex. There are studies that reveal this, and this reverse U change is related with intelligence actually, and once the volume increase is peak, it's around about age 16, that's the highest IQ level. And even though the volumes come to the same level in each group, the cortical thickness, if the volume increase comes peak at the retardness, the latest, then after puberty development, we need some time in order to develop our brain, and this is a period where plasticity is really high. It's a critical period for people. So let me skip these. Cognitive control increases. fMRI studies show that adolescents, maybe in the prefrontal tasks they are not that capable, but they learn faster, they develop more flexible strategies, and in a short study, maybe they learn tasks faster than the adults. This is thanks to the brain being highly plasticity. With young pregnant, we see that the abroad studies reveal that they've got lower IQ and they have many problems. And in gestation, what happens? With age and experience, the brain develops, and they compete with, if the brain doesn't find opportunity to compete with its peers, then the brain prepares itself for gestation, which means that the attention is mostly towarded the baby, to develop the baby. So the brain is developed as such, and the brain changes itself accordingly. And these brain changes actually are influenced by hormonal impact, estradiol and cortisol impact. Oxytocin, for instance, prepares the mother for the care of the baby, and the individual actually determines its identity to care for its baby. So rather than providing attention to the outer world, she concentrates on the baby and the development of the baby. And the cognitive studies reveal that verbal memory is negatively impacted in an irreversible manner. And what is important here is the gray matter. The gray matter volume decreases, ventricle volume increases, especially the volume changes take place in social memory and hippocampus. The brain gets ready for the baby, and the social memory development also concentrates on the baby, and the hippocampus development is permanent. Especially for females, hippocampus development is really important. And after gestation, hippocampal volume decreases because. And the rewarding system also changes, and also, for instance, medial, lateral, prefrontal, and anterior cingulate, the emotion regulation systems, tranquilize amygdala reactions. This system actually is developed in order to react to the crying of the baby. So post-delivery, again, feeling the anxiety of the baby is what the brain focuses on, and recognizing the face and also tranquiling the baby is what the brain focuses. If the adolescent would not be pregnant, they would develop social thinking and understanding the perspective of others with abstract thinking. For this reason, social brain is shaped by the needs of the baby if the adolescent is pregnant. So, when logically thinking, we can say that later on in the social arena, for the adolescent to compete, the brain has to develop itself, but rather than doing so, the brain concentrates on compensating the needs of the baby. That's why we need more research, because these areas cannot develop properly. That's why inhibits the mother probably from taking a place in the social life. We have to think like that, because for Homo sapiens, adolescency and the flexibility is really important. And what this gestation creates a problem, because that flexible period is wasted. That I would like to end my words here. Thank you very much.